His 3-hour show reached millions of Americans every single day, becoming a leading voice on the right for decades.
News Nation anchor Joe Donlan joining us now with more.
Rob and Marty, he had millions of fans and foes. He was one of the most successful and controversial voices in radio, revered and reviled. We're joined now by Stuart Crane. Stuart launched, produced, and syndicated the Rush Limbaugh Show. Stuart, I know you lost a close friend today. You had a lot of history with him. What will you remember the most?
Well, Joe, thanks for having me. After 32 years, it's hard to just pull up a couple of experiences, but I'll tell you this. I go back today. I've been thinking about the history of this whole enterprise, and I go back to the early days, the days that we decided to put a company together to launch this radio program. And I remember how hardworking this guy was and what an unbelievable entrepreneurial spirit he had. People don't realize he came to New York, that's where our company was located, from Sacramento, on a small salary against a percentage of his own show. He wanted to own his own show. And we had some great success. In the beginning, it was trying to hold on to a rocket ship as it took off, market after market, station after station. And I just keep thinking back to how courageous it was for him to come across the country to launch this program.
What did he mean to you as a friend, Stuart, and what did he mean to the Republican Party?
Well, I can't speak about the Republican Party, Joe. It's just not my area of expertise. He has been given all kinds of credit for the Gingrich sweep in 1994, taking the House back. I know that he had profound influence on conservatism, and the Republicans benefited from that. To me, he was just a guy that I went to work with every day. And, until we sold that program, we worked together day in and day out. In the early days when he came to New York, he knew nobody. He did his radio show out of WABC. After the show, we weren't located in the same building. He would come over to 6th Avenue where we were, and I would take him to an early dinner every night before I would go back to Connecticut and have dinner with my own family. So I got to know him real well, and we talked a lot about where things were going, how hard he was working. People don't realize, that it was a 3-hour show, but this guy was going to put in show prep. He would put 2 to 3 hours per hour in, and he was up all night preparing for this radio show, and it was incredibly innovative. And the other thing about him was he was so authentic. What you heard on the radio was who this guy was. Nobody lasts 32 years without being the real deal. He was very much an authentic personality.
He was also very controversial, Stuart, as you well know, and you can't talk about his career without some of these controversies. For many of his critics, they're unforgivable. In the end, did you get the impression that Rush had any regrets about any of that?
I wasn't there at the end, number one, Joe. I mean, I haven't worked with him in the last 10 years. But when people talked about controversy, here we are in the middle of this cancel culture. I get a kick out of that. We had advertisers threatening to pull out of the show, and there were these little groups of people that would organize to say that we represent thousands of people, which of course was untrue. And advertisers would threaten to pull out of the show because of the so-called controversy. And I used to say to these advertisers, there is no controversy on this show. Rush Limbaugh is a conservative, and everybody in the audience is a conservative. Where's the controversy?
Well, the controversy was in several of the statements that he made that offended a number of people on the other side, liberals, women, gender, based on everything from sexual orientation and otherwise. That was never anything he really felt bad about, or did he consider that part of his entertainment?
Rush used absurdity to illuminate absurdity. It was part of his performance. He was a great entertainer. That was one aspect of why this show is so popular. People who didn't like Rush, there was always an option, you can simply turn it off. Nobody made anybody listen to the Rush Limbaugh show. The show set ratings records. He is a generational talent. We have never seen anybody in radio achieve this level of success, and it's going to be a very long time, I think, before anybody else does.
What will his legacy be, in your opinion, in the end?
Well, one of the things that, I've been listening to people all day long talk about Rush's legacy. One of the things I haven't heard much about was this. When we started that show, AM radio was moribund, with the exception of a few heritage stations like WGN in Chicago and KMOX in St. Louis. AM radio was a deeply, deeply troubled medium. It was so bad, they were having a hard time selling those stations. When he came along, he added vitality and life, and these stations began to grow. He began to build other programs around it. He rebuilt AM radio, and that is part of the legacy that doesn't get told. The enormous, because of the belief that his audience had in him, he also had tremendous success doing commercials. He would only do commercials for products that he was introduced to that he could really get behind. People believed in what he said, and he wasn't going to blow that credibility by doing false advertising. So he became a very good advertising spokesperson, and part of his legacy as a talk radio personality was how successful he was at helping build so many companies. He took great pride in that.
Stuart Crane, thank you so much for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me.